Hello everybody, the Christmas season is here and it's been a busy one for me. For those of you who are avid fans, you may have noticed that my updates are not nearly as frequent as they used to be. For those of us that have relatively big families, this Christmas season comes with quite a bit of pressure. And in addition to that, I've been somewhat under the weather, but I'm fine now. I was just going through stories online to see if there was anything out there for me to talk about, and there always is. It's just that sometimes I ignore some stories, I just let them go. But this one pulled on my heartstrings, and if everything that is being said is true, it's always good to hear both sides of the story. I'm not in a position to investigate and get to the bottom of the matter. So I have to rely on what is already in the media. But what is online at the moment is sickening. The story making the rounds online is that this lady, her name is Tina, paid the hospital bill of her domestic staff, her maid, who gave birth. So her maid gave birth and could not foot the hospital bill. So Tina stepped in and paid. With the understanding, I guess, that the maid would reimburse her the expense. Upon the maid's inability to reimburse the amount, Tina decided to seize the baby. The story is so absurd to me that I really can't wait to hear Tina's side of the story. Right now, the way it stands leaves a lot of holes for me. Let me just straight up read what is here. I'm reading from Linda Ikeji's blog. And the story says, a mother has cried out after seeing the state of her 5-month-old baby allegedly seized by her madam. The woman did a live video with human rights activist Harrison Gwamishu to report her madam. The 19-year-old mother claimed that her madam seized her baby because she couldn't pay back the hospital bill she helped her clear. Photos of the baby before show him looking healthy. However, after allegedly being with the madam named Tina, the baby lost a lot of weight. It took the intervention of the Lagos State Social Welfare and the police to reunite the woman and her child. New photos of baby Chidubem show him looking emaciated and sickly. Well, the update on that is that the baby, this story came out a few days ago. As we speak, or as I do this video right now, the baby is dead. I'm sure we're going to get more details of, because the baby was subsequently taken to hospital and died. Apparently, they couldn't do much for the baby. He was too far gone for any meaningful help. The story tells us that the baby died of starvation. Well, certainly, the picture shows us a child who's desperately thin and definitely looking very, very sick, gravely ill. You see, when I was reading through the comments on that story on Linda Ikeji's page, some people were expressing absolute disbelief. It's not possible. The child probably just got sick. Yeah, I know it's mind-boggling. But the thing is this, for me, my problem starts with the fact that this Tina somehow was able to bring herself to kidnap, I don't even know the appropriate term to use, to keep that baby, an infant, from its mother. Is it for the entire 5-month period? The story is very sketchy. Was the baby already very sick? Went in, but we've seen pictures, we've seen the before and the after. If that is the same baby, then the baby certainly looked a lot healthier in one picture than in the other. But where is your humanity? How much was the hospital bill? How much was it? How could you, how that woman could keep that baby away from the baby's mother for even one night, I don't understand. If you have ever had to look after an infant, they are not easy to look after, especially at night. And when they're really young, you have to tend to them almost every 4 hours. You're feeding them almost every 3 or 4 hours, round the clock, especially at night. You're waking up at night to change them, make sure they're clean and comfortable so that they can go back to sleep. This routine can persist sometimes for up to 7 or 8 months. It's not something that you should come into unprepared. So there's that. What was the position of her spouse on the matter? Contrary to what many people might think about marriage, the truth is, in most marriages, the couples bounce ideas off of each other. And if one of the two is strongly opposed to something, the chances of it happening is very slim. That is why sometimes if you're married to somebody who's very strong-willed, you might find that that person is doing a lot of things in secret. If they think that, okay, if I come and discuss it with my husband or with my wife, she'll put up a very strong objection. Yeah, I'll just go ahead and do it in secret. What was the husband's position on this issue? Was he also comfortable with having some helpless infant in his wife's care without any additional support, care, or whether the child died of illness or starvation? For me, the main problem is that that child was separated from its mother at a point when that should not have been the case. She did not give the baby up for adoption. That is not her story. Her story is that her baby was forcibly taken from her because she was unable to reimburse. Again, we are not told the amount of money, but probably a pittance. Because I don't see how somebody who is a domestic servant will be going to maybe some private clinic somewhere that will charge them maybe £500,000 to give birth. So I can bet anything that that bill is probably well within the range of about 100,000 or less. Now, this is not me saying 100,000 is very small money. It is not. What I am saying is, it is not enough money to use as a justification to steal somebody's child and keep that child until the child gets sick. And as far as I'm concerned, this is murder, or at the very least, manslaughter. Because if she hadn't kept that baby away from its mother, the baby would have received the requisite attention and care and possibly might still be alive. Or if even the baby was destined to die at the at the age of 5 months, the baby would probably have died of other causes and not while in Tina's care. I decided to do a little bit more online research and came upon a video done by the Punch newspapers showing the lady in question, Madame Tina, and her husband. And their own version of the story is that they had traveled to the village and stumbled upon this young lady whose name they gave as Chichi. She was already pregnant and indigent, and she pleaded with them to assist her, that she would be willing, in that pregnant state, to look after their children. Because for her part, she was an orphan and didn't really have anywhere to go. There was the added shame of being pregnant, probably out of wedlock. Again, the story is still pretty sketchy, but I've been able to gather so far that Chichi, who is the maid, was not married. So the couple brought Chichi with them to Lagos, ostensibly to care for their own children. How do you bring a pregnant woman who also needs care herself to cater to young children who are probably very rambunctious and running all over the place? But that's the story. They brought this pregnant indigent woman into their home from the village, brought her to Lagos to come and help look after the kids, and within a short while she gave birth to her own child. Their own version of the story says that shortly after giving birth, she insisted that she wanted to leave, go back to the village and write an exam. This was a month after the infant was born, following which she would come back, and then after she came back, she now said that she wanted to go and work as, she wanted to go and work as a sex worker, and they were wondering how she hoped to, the story is so convoluted that for my part, I feel that the couple is working together to give a heavily embellished version of the story to whoever the authorities are that are that have them in their custody. And this interview was done before the baby died. So for my part, I'm happy that they're already in custody. They've already admitted that the baby was left in their care, although they're trying to make it look as if this was at the behest of Chichi, which doesn't make sense if you really look at the fact that it was the same Chichi who they claim abandoned her baby to go and do her own business that took the story to Harrison to complain that she was being kept apart from her baby as a result of her inability to reimburse expenses that were incurred when she was giving birth. And indeed, this fellow who claims that Chichi is from his village and so on and so forth, he has already mentioned certain sums of money that he said he spent on Chichi in the course of her having the baby. So we're starting to see some similarities in the stories there. There's something going on around money. Well, now that the baby has passed on, who knows? At some point, more will come out pertaining to the story. But for now, it's not looking very good for the couple. And if it turns out that she really did keep that baby from the baby's mother, then, the law should take its course. When people stumble upon stories like this, the first thing that goes, why wait for so long? 5 months? Why didn't you say something earlier? There's a kind of poverty there's a kind of helplessness you find yourself mired in, that when you are in trouble, you lose your voice. Because when you sit down and think about it, it looks as if the odds are all against you. And you're poor, and you don't have a voice, and who will listen to you? And that is why I always commend NGOs, non-governmental organizations in Nigeria, that take up the cause of the common man like this. And for the benefit of those of us who might be watching this and might be going through some kind of challenge or another, that you feel if you go to the police, you're going to get a raw deal, look for an NGO. It doesn't even have to be a big one. It just needs to be a serious NGO. Most NGOs are not staffed with 20, 30 people. A large number of NGOs, they try to keep their costs minimal. So you'll just find one tiny office somewhere with 5 people working there. Go there. If they cannot help you, they'll direct you where you can get help. Don't keep things like this to yourself. Don't always adopt a defeatist stance. Who go help me now? If I go police serve them. It's not just, there are places you will go that they will take up the matter for you with the police in such a way that the police cannot make that issue disappear, which is what most people are afraid of. So the story leaves a sour taste in my mouth. Sorry to spoil your day, it probably did, but this is one of these things that we really need to be our brother's keeper. When we see stories like this, we need to amplify stories like this. And I'll play my part, to amplify stories like this and make sure that the people who are doing these evil things, that they're brought to justice. It's the least we can do.